So on a previous video a few weeks ago, we showed you how we use our EZ-FLO fertilizer injector to feed our onions and other alliums through the drip system. And we had a lot of people commenting on that video and sending us emails asking could they use the injector for overhead watering as well. So maybe you don't have drip irrigation installed, or you got a plot where you're just wanting to overhead water, maybe a cover crop, or you're just wanting to feed the soil prior to planting. Can you use that injector with the overhead system? And today I want to show you just how easy it is to do that. If this is your first time on our channel, welcome. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below and hit that bell notification button so you get notified every time we come out with a new video. And if you are a frequent viewer of our channel, it's always good to have you back. So I've got my 2-gallon EZ-FLO injector here. Everything's set up. I just need to hook it back up to the 4-way there. And we showed you on a previous video how you set up and install that thing. It's really easy. You can go check that video out if you want to see that. Today, instead of using an inorganic fertilizer, we're going to be using some organic fertilizer, our Liquifish fertilizer. So when we use those inorganic fertilizers like 20-20-20 or ammonium sulfate, we're mainly feeding our plants, giving them a quick jolt. With this organic fertilizer like this fish emulsion, what we're really doing is feeding our soil. It also feeds the plants, but we're feeding our soil and just promoting the soil biology there. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to feed those beets, and then we're going to go put some of this on our winter rye cover crop and feed that plot so it's nice and fertile before we go to turn in that cover crop and plant a spring crop there. So in this little plot here, I had some elevated beds of greens, and I've since came in and chopped those up with a tiller. I cut them a couple times. They did really well for me, but I was gone for a week and bug pressure kind of got a little out of control on me. So I needed to get this plot ready for potatoes, which we're going to be planting here pretty soon. So I went in and tilled those in, but I still got these 2 rows of beets here, and I've just been hand watering or overhead watering with the tripod stuff in this plot. You can see those beets got burnt back by the frost a little bit. Those gold beets seem to be a little more frost sensitive than those red ones do over there. But anyway, I want to go ahead and feed these guys one more time. They're getting close. They still need to get a little bit bigger before we harvest them. So I'm going to go ahead and feed them one more time, and hopefully they'll finish out right around the time we need to plant potatoes in here. So I'm going to get this going and hook it up right here just to feed those beets real quick like, and then we'll move it over to the dream garden where we'll feed that cover crop. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to put my fertilizer in there, and this fish emulsion, it helps to shake it up a little bit. And since I'm going to be feeding a good bit with this, I'm going to go ahead and just put this whole jug in here. And it doesn't look like I shook it up good enough. Let's try that again. There we go. We'll pour this in there, and then we'll top it off with water and get the tank full before we try to run it. And I'll rinse out this jug here a little bit too, make sure I get everything out of there. And we'll go ahead and fill this up, and we'll go ahead and put our cap on there. Get the lid screwed on there nice and tight, and then I'll hook it up right here to the 4-way, and then move this hose right here, which we're going to be using the water, over to this injector hose bit. And when we turn our hose with our nozzle on, we can start seeing that fish emulsion there injecting right through that water line, coming out our nozzle right here. Now in the past, when I'm doing hand watering like this, I've used this Dram shower nozzle, and this is what we use in our greenhouse, and these work great. But recently, I've really been liking this fan nozzle here. Just puts out a nice stream, and it's really good for hand watering. And it's got this little one-touch control valve there where you can control the water flow. You can make it go just a little bit or a lot there. And we've got both of these on our site now, and I'll put some links below so you can check those out. But this guy right here works really good for hand water and things like these beets here. All right. So we got our beets fed. Now we're gonna take our fertilizer injector tank and move it over to the dream garden and feed that cover crop plot. Now over here in the dream garden, we have to do it a little bit differently, and I'll show you what I mean. So the spigot that feeds the dream garden is right here, right up against the house. And as you can see there, it's pretty low to the ground. And there's not enough room there to install that injector hose bib connector. So we have to do it a little different. So this is the hose here. I've got 200 foot of hose running out here to the dream garden. Basically 2 of these 100 foot hoses. And so what we'll do is we're going to install the EZ-FLO injector between these 2 hoses here. Now you can install the injector right here at the beginning of your drip tape system or your irrigation system, whatever you're using. The problem with that, when you have several different plots like we do, is that would require moving the tank every time you want to fertilize a different plot. So what I like to do is to hook it up here between these 2 hoses, so I don't ever have to move my injector. I can leave it in the same place, and all I have to do is move my water hose. So I'm going to take my hose bib connector on my injector and hook it up here between these 2 hoses. And then it'll start injecting that way on through that overhead sprinkler we're going to be using on that cover crop plot. Here's our winter rye cover crop we're going to be feeding with some of this fish emulsion. It's growing okay. Not as good as I would have expected, but I did plant it a little late in the fall or early in the winter. So it's doing okay, but we need to feed this soil some. This soil was pretty depleted because we had peppers and eggplants in here for a long time. So need to kind of restore some of the structure and some of the nutrients in this soil. The cover crop helps with that. We can put some of this fish emulsion down so the soil will be nice and healthy when we do get ready to plant something else here. So we got our tripod sprinkler running there, and we've got our injector pulling that fish fertilizer into that water hose out through that sprinkler to feed that plot. So whether you've got a big garden or a small garden, maybe just a few raised beds or containers, whether you use drip irrigation or whether you hand water or overhead water, that fertilizer injector is quite handy for feeding your soil and feeding your plants. I'll put some links below to our EZ-FLO fertilizer injector and our Liquifish fertilizer that we use today, so you can check those out. If you enjoyed this video, give me a big like, give me a big thumbs up and a big share, and we will see you guys next time.